Welcome to some Abzan Company Stoneforge. Running this. Let's see how it goes. Won the die roll, always something I like to see. This hand is... If that Vizier was a druid, this hand would be great. So I go turn 1 Dork, turn 2 Dork, turn 3... I guess I could go turn 1 Dork, turn 2 Finale for a Dryad Arbor to another land drop. Yeah, this hand just doesn't do anything. I was trying to force that. And this hand's even worse. Let's go to 5. This hand's fine as a 5. Unfortunately, I do have to bottom 2 things. One will be the Finale, I think. So I'll bottom that, and I'll bottom the basic plane. So is that what I want to do? Yeah, I'll just have to draw into 2 lands here. Unfortunately. So I'm going to try to win this game. This is not a druid hand at all. This is very much a Stoneforge hand. So let's hope my opponent here is got something that Giver and Stoneforge are good against. Dredge. Alright, I'm not very good against Dredge with this. Okay, opponent gets a Narcomoeba right away. And it can Flagorate. That's not a good sign for me. So right off the bat, I think I have to go Batterskull here. My other option is... Longbow is too expensive, so my other option is Sword of Fire and Ice. Which could be cute, especially with the blue-red creatures they're going to have. Could let me like ping down their Narcomoebas and do different things. I think I just need Batterskull just to survive. Now I can't attack here because I want to be able to protect my Stoneforge from a Conflagrate so I can slam down this Batterskull. Still need to hit some land drops here. That's good for me. My opponent tapping the Shriekhorn, getting another Conflagrate and a land. Looks like they're Conflagrating here. They've got to kill this Giver at some point. And this lets them pitch their hand. City of Brass is worded weird. I really feel like it should just be the tap ability is add a mana, lose a life. But because it's worded that way, it makes things like the old Twiddle effects so much more unique. I don't know. Doesn't really matter here. Giver's dead. My opponent has another Conflagrate, which makes my Devoted Druid just... means she's just going to die. So, opponent's got 1 card in hand. They do have a Stinkweed Imp. If they have a land left in their hand, they can get the Bloodghast and Amalgam back. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna... The problem is that they're gonna draw a second card, and then they can just Conflagrate and kill the Druid. I think I just need to have Batterskull in play here. Make them use the Conflagrate. All right. Okay. Now I have nothing else to do, but this way I'm at 20 life instead of being in a worse spot. My opponent's dead if... most likely dead if they don't kill this druid here. I think I want to force my opponent to kill this germ token. So by blocking here, it makes them want to like conflagrate. Let's see the worst thing that could happen. There's 2 lands in play. So my opponent could, if they have a land, drop a land, right? Life from the loam. They'd be down to 1 card. Life from the loam, pick up 2. Let's say it's a fetch land. They pick up 3. And then they have red, 1, 2, 3. They could do 4. X is 4, so they kill the druid and the germ. That would be worst case scenario. I think I gotta kill the amalgam still, though. Just not interested in killing that blood gas and training it with the Stoneforge. Okay. That means that Druid lives, so my opponent, and they used a Dark Blast, so that's actually really good for me. If they'd held on to that Dark Blast, they could have killed my Druid when I potentially tapped out for something. I don't know, I feel like my opponent misplayed that a little bit. Here's the life from the loam. Yep, and there's the fetch land. That was strange. Okay. Roll my sleeves up, I got some clicking to do. I don't know why opponents don't just concede at these points. Like, they know I have the ballista in hand. So what I am going to do, because I have 20 minutes of clock, and I feel like having a little bit of fun with Batterskull in play. I was going to equip Batterskull to the ballista, and then gain life every time I pinged. Okay, that was a turn 5 win. Not bad. Mold to 5. So what do we want here? What are we interested in? Scavenging Ooze is very good. Burrington Forge Tender's interesting because it stops Conflagrate, which is one of the best cards my opponent has against us. They have Dark Blast and Conflagrate. Those are cards I'm worried about. Night of Autumn, maybe, probably not. Sword of Feast and Famine's probably an upgrade over Fire and Ice. Plague Engineer is pretty good against their X1s. And Mirren Crusader could be unique and interesting. I don't think I am interested in any paths or anything like that. So cards I'm maybe interested in, put over here. Whole Stoneforge package is actually the worst part of my deck against Dredge. It's playing very fair, and as you can see, I beat my opponent with an unfair ability. That said, if they pack a ton of heat to deal with Druid, I am going to need a way to win the game besides just my 1 of Scavenging Ooze. So I have 6 cards to cut. I don't know if Feast and the Pro Black is nice, but I don't know if I want to make my opponent untap. So I think I'm just going to cut that. Plague Engineer is a definite. I think I still just want Fire and Ice just because of how good of a card it is. Let me do something like that. So I cut Fire and Ice last second there over the longbow because all my talk about being a combo deck against my opponent and then keeping, cutting longbow doesn't make sense. I'm going to keep this. It's very weak to Dark Blast, but this is a turn 3 potential win hand. That's something I'm very interested in against Dredge. They're going to win the long games here, so... Not what I want to see. Notice I don't have much graveyard hate in this deck. Abrupt Decays and Lightning Axe. Okay. That's primarily because I just think my combo... I'm not really too worried about graveyard decks in general. I know Scavenging Ooze is a heck of a job here. It's a bit too late here. But usually I can race the graveyard-centric decks. I'm saving sideboard slots towards decks that are a little bit different. I think I just played Druid, Godless Shrine, pass. If they have a removal spell, they have it. I know they have the Conflagrate, but I can make them use it. Fortunately, that means you're going to kill a bird, too. My opponent doesn't know I'm potentially going to miss land drops yet, though. Yep. Okay. Godless Shrine is a land I'm testing out. I've never actually run it in these decks before. It's my first league with it. Testing it out here, though, to help cast the extra white spells I have in the deck, primarily Giver and Ranger Captain. You can see how rough it is right here, not being like an overgrown tomb, letting me cast Finale for 0 to get my Dryad Arbor out, which is another card I'm testing. Primarily because I'm running a low land count, I like the idea of finaleing for Dryad Arbor on 0, building my own rampant growth. I think I'm just going to die here. Opponent had a much faster start, and more importantly, they had the interactive spell. If I draw a land, I can Collected Company into something and try to win that way. Even that might be too slow. Okay, so I hit the land. I can drop Plague Engineer, which would kill all of the Bloodghasts, and can trade with an Amalgam. But then they'll just buy them back. Let's see. So best case scenario, Collected Company into like 2 blockers, right? I'll go block, block, take 7. So I think the only way I don't die is actually just this Plague Engineer. One's got Dark Blast in hand. Sure. I can block here. Yeah, I think I'm just dead. I have no like kitchen finks or anything. I can't combo at instant speed. So I'm gonna block here, and I'm gonna play a land if my opponent plays a land now and not second main. All right. Because then I'm gonna block here to not die, go down to 1, and then my opponent is gonna get all their blood ghasts and then amalgam back. So that's just game over. Anything else I'm interested in here? Maybe a Mirren Crusader. No, I think I'm good. I think I just need to have a functional hand. I think this is fine. Obviously, I like to draw more lands off of this, but turn 1 giver, turn 2 or 3, one of these two can be fine. I'm going to bank on drawing a land. One thing my biggest criticism about this list is I am trying a lower land count. Really, 19 plus the Dryad Arbor makes 20. I prefer being in the 21 range, maybe even 22 for this style deck. Opponents had the Shriekhorn every game so far. Alright, land. That's a land. Alright, I play Scavenging Ooze. Then I'm basically taking my next turn off because I'm playing Dryad Arbor and Mystic. So I think I'm just going to lead with the Mystic here. Then pass my turn. Pick up Batterskull. I didn't see any artifact hate from my opponent, but I did see Lightning Axe. Here's a Conflagrate. Killing my giver. I really wish that Dryad Arbor was a forest, because then I could have actually done something with Skoos. Being a little punished by the greedy mana base of this deck, but with the London Mulligan, I guess that the whole point is everyone's supposed to have a greedy mana base nowadays. Except for Amulet Titan, which runs 30. Yep. Okay, 3 cards in my opponent's hand. Hardcast Stinkweed Imp, which I guess the point of that is to deal with my Batterskull. Land would be great here. It's not a land. I think what I want to do, my opponent has, let's pull up their graveyard here. They do have a Stinkweed Imp in the graveyard. So what I could do is I could play Scavenging Ooze, eat this Stinkweed Imp, take a turn off, and then next turn try to do the same thing again. I kind of like that. not attacking because I don't want my opponent Stink Venom to die. Like, I'm not willing to make that trade just to give them more dredging. They have the Life from the Loam still, but I still just want to try to slow this down a bit. What I really want to do is be able to draw, okay, 3 lands, sure. Draw like a forest would be wonderful. Okay. Okay. So my opponent has extra dredgers thanks to the Shriekhorn. Let's see if I can manage this a little bit. They don't have a removal spell, otherwise they would have killed my Scavenging Ooze. So I could just Finale for 2, grab a Druid, right? And then just basically sit pretty for a turn, and then try to use Finale for a Druid and try to use CoCo into Vizier. Or alternatively, I could CoCo and try to hit Druid and Vizier that way, and then Finale for the last piece, or just use Stoneforge for the last piece. Or I could just slow my opponent down and slowly try to take over this game. I think I'm going to start actually with an attack with my Germ. I can eat 3 things. Yep, that'll be one of them. And then my opponent has to hit off of this Shriekhorn. Okay, so they have no dredgers. They have to hit off the Shriekhorn. They hit the Thug. Okay. In odds were they were going to, but at least this way I slowed their progression down a little bit. And got rid of that Dark Blast, which could be a real pain for me when I have a Dryad Arbor that I really need as a land. Opponent concedes. Okay. I guess they just didn't have any removal spells left for the Scavenging Ooze. There's 2 Lightning Axes. I know they've still been Abrupt Decay, so... Alright, well, 1-0. I'll see you in the next one.